Alright, I'm good. Sorry about that, man.
Alright, mate. I'm here.
But anyhow, yeah,
I'm
I was,
glad I'm glad that I
what's
talk
up?
with you after so long time again on a voice chat, mate.
Alright.
So
But anyhow,
how is classic for you?
it's going well. I've been part of a invite only thinking and theory crafting Discord, where I'm getting some new ideas for stuff.
Uh,
I'm thinking though I'm gonna right now my spec is currently 03120. I think I'm gonna respec to 1133.7 though.
Alright. So you think Reckoning is good for PV?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Alright. Let me tell you. Alright, you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Alright. Let me tell you where Reckoning spatting is good. If you gear up raids, there are some different ways to play. Like there are bosses who does require more defense gear in order to survive much easier, like Gar, Golemak. Which one? I don't remember. Okay, those two bosses. For example, you need defense gear in order to survive much easier. In that case, Reckoning is worthless. But there are bosses like Baron Geddon, Ragnaros, like Mayordomo, Chakras, and so on, who are casters based bosses. And this I'm telling you because nobody ever talk about this. Those bosses, you having a resistance gear, you don't need for those bosses defense gear. You need more stamina gear and resistance gear. And in that case you have it is good to have reckoning, because those bosses does very low melee damage, and if they crit you, they will crit you for so small amount of damage, because their main damage is mostly a spell damage and the strongest output damage, which means for those bosses you can free eat crits and have more reckoning, which provides you a lot more aggro, a lot more mana regeneration from judgment and wisdom and so on. And in that case, reckoning spec is good. No one else is talking about this for you. You don't find it on forums, you don't find it anywhere. They are just telling you, oh, reckoning is good for threat, because and so on, like that you don't need a defense cap gear and so on, but they don't explain when and why it is good. So basically,
Well,
yeah.
that's the thing too. With I mean, right now, I'm spec out of anticipation. I have 0 points in the anticipation. But that said, I have full Deathbone gear and I have some other pieces of defense. I have about, I want to say, somewhere between 380 and 390 defense on my gear. And once BWL comes out, we're gonna start. I'm gonna start running tier 2, which has no defense on it, but it has more armor and
Yeah, those bows
more stamina,
basically
more stuff.
require more armor and stamina. That's all. You don't need anything else besides armor and stamina.
Well, that's it. And we're also a spell movement as well, which is really good for my
Which boss?
threat. Uh, I'm talking about tier 2.
Tier 2. It's the same story, mate. It's the same story. For example, the first boss in Blackwing Lair, it does require stamina and resistance, fire resistance gear, mostly for the first and second boss. And Firemaw and those three bosses, the three drakes, also does require resistance gear, which means the only boss that you need a defense cap in Blackwing Lair, the only boss is Chromagus. Maybe for Nefarian, but that's maybe for Nefarian. Even though that Nefarian does hit for a lot, so let's say even Nefarian defense gear with Onyxia Cloak. So only Chromagus and Nefarian you need diff cap. The other bosses, okay, I missed, sorry, I missed one boss, yeah, that's my bad. And that boss does require a defense gear, and you know which one it is, the Gauntlet one. That was
Brutal Lash Layer.
I forgot the name, but after the Gauntlet.
Yeah, Broodlord.
Yeah, Broodlord, okay, that one also does require defense gear. Even though it's not a mandatory defense gear for that boss, because if you have a stamina, his main damage is the Sword of Cliff, and that reduces your armor stuff. So that's a question for that boss, for Broodlord, whether you use stamina gear or whether you use defense gear.
Now, where do you recommend getting defense gear from for Blackwing Lair?
You need basically 3 types of gear for every raid. Okay? One type of gear is resistance gear. The second type of gear is full stamina and armor gear with maybe spell damage or whatever stats. And third type of gear is defense gear. Those are the 3 types of gear you need for every single raid. So it depends on which boss you are doing, what type of gear you need. Every boss has its own weakness and its own strong parts. You need to have the gear for the boss weakness. That doesn't mean that it is harder for you to get gear. No, that's not true. It is just to make much more efficient for the specific type of boss.
Yeah.
You can basically do all of the bosses with defense cap gear, okay? Except Ragnaros, okay. You need fire resistance, but even with defense gear they manage it if you use potions and so on. But easiest way is to have the 3 types of gear I told you.
Resistance, mitigation, and gear, right?
Yeah, the number 1 gear is defense cap gear. The number 2 is stamina and armor gear, and the number 3 is resistance gear.
Alright.
Threat is not a problem. If you want to do threats, just get the threat weapon, because there is no such efficient or good threat defense weapon except Thunderfury, which is threat and defense at the same time. So I'm not questioning. Even the warrior tanks are using threat gear. I mean, a lot of them are using not only a weapon, but a lot of other items they are using for threat. And now when some warrior telling you that he's doing a lot more threat than you, I'm just questioning why the heck he have to use threat gear in order to tank, and I don't, which means he does not. If I use threat gear like him, I'll beat him much more, because our threat scale much higher than the warriors, you know. Like
That's the thing though, because warriors scale insanely well with gear, namely with DPS gear, and the fact is in classic, you don't need to be wearing full tank plate in order to tank most shit. So
yeah,
a lot of times, pro warriors will even spec and gear in a way like a popular spec is 2031 for Prot Warriors. And they'll do that while wearing not full DPS plate, but some DPS plate, maybe with a little bit of tier gear, and during this shit ton of threat. And the reason they do is because Warriors scale very, very well with DPS gear, whereas Paladins on the other hand really don't.
yeah, that's right. Uh, you don't really need thread gear. I mean, it's okay if you want to have one, no problem. Everyone can do it, but that doesn't mean that you can't do the threat without it. You know, it's all about your weapon enchant, and the spell damage consumes, like Greater Arcane Elixir, Brilliant Wizard Royal, those stuff.
That's something too. I've noticed too that the coefficients for spells are even lower in Classic than they were on boot servers.
Hmm? What did you say?
I've noticed that the coefficients for Pally spells in Classic are even lower than they were on P servers.
Yeah, I don't say no, but even warriors have a lower. But that's deficient, okay? What you didn't mention is that self-righteousness scale much higher with a weapon here.
I mean, the sense of
Like,
the way I understand the way this works is that the weapon speed is more or less indeterminate as far as the base damage goes. Fast weapons, however, will generate more threat if you have spell damage.
no, that's not true. Slower weapons indeed does a lot more damage. Slower weapons, because you scale much higher with a holy damage rather than white swings. And yeah.
What I was saying, Dookie, though, was that the threat you get from spell damage
Mm-hmm.
and the gear, that is where having a faster weapon is more beneficial because the SR scaling just doesn't affect spell damage contribution. So if you have like 100 spell damage and you get like eight more damage per swing, you'll be more damage with the 1.7 speed weapon, and you also be more damage with the 2.5 speed weapon. You see?
Yeah, I understand, but in that case you should be using a full threat gear. Otherwise it's not worthy. It's not worthy because you don't get that much gear with the spell
Not
damage.
sure what you mean, because if you are using threat gear, and you're not using a fast weapon like a Thunderfury, then you're missing out on a lot of shit.
Thunderfury is not that fast, but okay, its speed is fast. I mean, like it's faster than normal.
1.7.
But Thunderfury is a different story, you know, because Thunderfury does not even require you to get that threat gear plate, because you already have extremely high threat with Thunderfury, thanks to Seal of Righteousness, which makes it do double procs. Like if Thunderfury proc chance is 33%, with Seal of Righteousness is like 66% proc rate.
Yeah.
It's so much higher than anyone.
Yeah, huh?
Especially that the
By the way,
warriors
do you
need
have a
to,
Thunderfury
yeah.
yet? Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Thunderfury isn't out until phase 3, so yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have bindings, though?
No, we didn't begin raiding yet because my time is extremely limited. Unfortunately, I'm not like I was before,
Alright.
and it's not the same. You know, it's not the same when you are fully active in and when you're not. You're limited to the free time you have. Like for instance, I have average on a daily base 5 to 6 hours to play. Sometimes a little lesser,
Alright.
and with that time you can't get enough people for the guild to run. You know, it's a little harder.
Yeah.
You need a lot of backups who could do the recruits for you. But when you go for a nearly solo creating a guild, and when you have to do everything on your own, it's a little harder. You know, it's not that easy. But when you're free and you have like 20 hours a day free to play, and you obviously can solo make a whole guild so easy. You can take care about the people you get, you can recruit all the time and communicate with the people much more often rather than letting them feel like they are in an empty guild, you know. So it's not the same. Otherwise, I would have been in raids long ago, and yeah, and at least finally I got my computer parts decent enough to begin streaming as a normal, you know. Sorry, I was a little focused in game, that's why I said that way, those words.
That's cool. Yeah, I had to hang up and then call you back because I had no longer off my phone and it caused you to get muted.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's it's so much different. People don't get you serious when you play hybrid, especially a Protection Paladin. And you, as a Protection Paladin player yourself, know a lot of those stuff. Like people
Yeah.
are so skeptical. They are extremely skeptical, and they don't even let you to show them how much you can do it until you do it and show them.
I got kicked out of my guild for complete bullshit. I mean, they didn't even tell me why it came here. I just simply got I wasn't working out, and they wouldn't even let me take anything.
Yeah, mate. Basically, with the Protection Paladin, if he's killed, you clear raids much faster. I don't say like you have to use 4 of them. At least 1 in the raid, speed up the whole raid so much. Basically, 80% of the raiding time you waste on the trash mobs killing, and you don't have only 1 tank. You have like 3 or 4. In that case, 3rd or 4th tank to have a Protection Paladin is so much faster, especially if he is skilled. He can only run those mobs in the raids, and you just run through the raid like nothing. If the Paladin tank himself is skilled enough, he can just run fast without having any mana or threat issues. It's not like those who are trying to that you have issues with mana or threat. No, that's not true. Absolutely not true. I have been in all those raids and all those times. Every time there was some, how to call it, asshole who is telling you you can't do that, you can't do this, and you need to convince them. Like they won't even believe you if you convince them. And when you get to finally somehow in the raid show them how it is, then they become getting silenced a bit, you know. They go silenced, and within time they are okay with you in there.
By the way, Jimmy, I've been to ask you this, but do you know if when their weapon specs SOR damage in Classic?
What weapon spec?
Does one weapon spec affect SOR damage in Classic?
Wow. And
Yeah,
you mean from the one-handed to weapon spec specifically in the talent, you mean, or?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's increasing the Seal of Righteousness damage, and it's increasing the White Swings damage.
Now, you've tested this out?
Yeah, you have tested, and I'm 100% positive in that. It does show it. Yeah.
There was a little debate about that in the invite on the Tankin Discord because the aura from the database is physical only. So I'm just myself get those now. No.
Honestly, Paladin Theorycraft Discord you are in is run by people who have no idea how to play Protection Paladin tank in the raids. Have you ever seen the Holy Frog video of himself tanking in a raid? Do you know why he have posted it as a speed run? Like he increases the speed of that run? Man, he
not so about Holy Frog.
Yeah.
There's another
Yeah.
Discord. Yeah, I think you're thinking of Pretty Lame Paladins, but is that the one you're thinking of?
Yeah, I'm positive in what I'm saying. I have been in both of those discords and I love them after arguing with them.
So you've also found in protection
Yeah.
geometry.
Yeah, those people basically don't know how Protection Paladin works, mate. I mean, Holy Frog, for instance, I'm taking him as example because he's one of those popular, beside Casper or whatever the other guys was. He's one of the most popular prot paladins around on the streams and on the videos because he could do it and I couldn't do streams. Like, he go in the raid, he seal and judgment of wisdom on a single target mob and he concentrate. He don't know how to even precast Holy Shield to get the block on the first shot and or something. Like he don't even use Seal of Righteousness, and then when he get he do nothing. He just seal Judgment, Wisdom, and spam consecration. It's disaster, mate. You don't use consecration on a single target. It's so noob. You might use it like 1 or 2 times to get that.
I'd never use. I mean, if I'm fighting a boss, it's only a single target. I may use consecrate, maxing consecrate once.
That's my point. Yeah, that's my point. Those who are pretending that are good, skilled Protection Paladins are always telling you you have mana issues, you have aggro issues, only because they don't know what to even use and what is most efficient to use in the raid and how to rotate it. Like he goes to Judgment with he spam consecration, nothing else on single target. He go from he goes aggro from that and GG. The other theory is how he do it. I have seen it. He Judge of Wisdom, Seal of Righteousness, which should be okay, And instead of himself focusing on holy shields and judgments, he is still focusing on consecration and the greater blessings. Then Hume again and he lose aggro, blah, GG. Come on, seriously. If those people are the people who are presenting the Protection Paladins, no thanks. I will never ever have them in the raid. They're just simple noobs, mate. You don't have you should never go womb in the raid. Okay, you have runes, you have mana potions, you should never ever ask for innervates either, even that it could be like bones for you if it is a speed run and everyone is geared, but you should never use innervates. Those should go for the healers, not for you. You are not there to ask and bother something very beneficial in the raid, and that could go to save someone's lives because of that when healers get it. If you are using properly runes and dark runes or demonic runes, whatever you are, it's so easy to farm them. It's not hard. You can you just get one mage with you and do Skolomans within half hour, getting like 5 or 6 dark runes and so many other stuffs without having a horde ganking you. And if you have a guild group, you can farm a lot of them, and it's so easy, not just for and beneficial not only for you but for everyone. Other option is to go and farm the demons out there. But what my point was is, if you're using those consumes, you will never use. And if you are not relying on concentration, yeah.
You said that you open up on single targets with Judgment Wisdom. Why do you not use Judgment Wisdom to survive threat if you're not going to be using guns? Great.
Yeah, depend on the group DPS and everything. If you have a strong DPS and they are less likely to be patients, then you run with Judgment of Righteousness in that case to burst out the threat at the beginning. But you have open-minded people who are at least waiting 1 second. And come on, nobody can tell that the warriors don't have the same issues. I have seen so many other streams from warrior tanks around, hardcore, casual, every kind of guild, every type of guild, even Asmongold, even Tips out there, or all those people who are streamers and who are using warrior tanks, who advertise for a warrior tank. All of those warrior tanks do ask people to wait at least 1 or 2 seconds before they DPS. All of them.
And I know exactly what you mean.
And if people come for you,
the last guild I was in fact, even the last pug raid I was in too, but every raid I've been in for MC, on the trash anyway, the DPS just open up as soon as the tank makes contact, and the warrior tanks lose aggro constantly because of that, and they'll have to burn their cooldown, or not cooldown, their taunt.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have what I said, if you have open-minded people who are good and mature enough to raid, like 1 second is nothing to wait, nothing, literally nothing. You can open up with Judgment of Wisdom free, but before you open with the Judgment of Wisdom, you precast Holy Shield before the pull, and you run inside straight with Judgment of Wisdom and Consecration at the very beginning only, max rank Consecration. I mean, afterward you see Righteousness and Holy Shield, maybe another Consecration, depends on the group gear, whether they are good geared or bad geared. It depends. And afterward you don't use Consecration, only Holy Shield and Judgments of Righteousness if need.
By the way, what kind of weapon do you use?
What weapon? Currently I have really bad weapon. It's a trash blade from, I think it was a Marudon quest or something.
Yeah, but you check.
But if I can choose which one weapon to use, I will definitely use Flurry Axe for AoE or Iron Fall for single target. Iron Fall does a lot of threats on the single target, but it's very bad for AoE because it cannot regen enough of your mana because of the weapon speed. Meanwhile, the Flurry Axe for AoE for trash clearing is king. It's very fast and it regenerates your mana. You can spam consecration without limits using Seal and Judge of Wisdom and max rank consecration like no tomorrow. So it depends.
Respect that. Yeah. Now, would you consider using a Quells or
No, I don't like. Okay, if you are the third or fourth tank, I'm rarely third or fourth tank, but it can happen. Okay, but that's only a situational. You don't need it, especially here in classic. Mobs and bosses does not do a lot of damage like in the private servers that they did. Far from it, and you don't need it, Kelsorar, at all. Those who need such things are warriors. They benefit from that the most, not you.
do you have the Crash Blade enchanted?
Hmm?
Do you have an enchant on your Crash?
I can't hear you, mate. Good. Your microphone is a little screwed, maybe.
Alright, that's.
Okay, now it's better.
Alright, do you have an enchant on your Thrash Blade?
No, not yet. But I have no enchants yet. As I said, I don't have any enchants because my time was limited and I couldn't get in time everything, and I'm still not yet completed with the stuffs. It's not my style to play that way. I want everything to complete quests and dungeons, gears, pre-raid before I begin to step into raid. That's myself only. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. You can, but it's just personal that I want everything.
I know what you mean there, Duke. Yeah. You definitely not want to get a bad impression going into a raid because you're undergeared.
Yeah. But I'm willing to test out this time life stealing enchant for single target threat. If it work with the spell damage or not. If it work with spell damage, then I will keep life stealing enchant on weapon. If it doesn't work with spell damage, then I will use spell damage enchant on the weapon. So I will have to test out first.
Oh, by the way, does Seal of Righteousness have the chance to proc weapon enchants?
Not enchants, only weapon procs.
So so it doesn't have a chance to say Crusader.
Well, yeah, but Crusader is not that good at all. Seal of the Crusader is okay for mobs who are immune on spells if you use.
Well, no, I'm not talking about Seal of the Crusader. I'm talking about the Enchant Crusader.
No, I don't need that.
Yeah, I thought my Thrash Blade.
Thrash Blade, to be honest, is really bad weapon. I want to change it, but no luck so far on the Iron Fall drop, and even Flurry Axe is very rare in the auction house. I'm trying to take it, but sometimes there is 200 gold, sometimes it is 800 gold, so you and most of the time it's not there, so it's hard to get it.
That I mean, I got got Flashblade enchanted because I have been using up to right now. I've been thinking with 031 20 build and using Seal Command for Seal Readiness for Lightning Seal.
Yeah,
And it was actually working out quite well, in fact.
yeah, it's good that one. It is good that one to use. I don't say no. Maybe I will try it out, but I'm not fan of such kind of weapons. I rather have a either procreate weapon with spell damage, or the weapon like the Thunderfury, like the proc swing weapon. With extra swings, it does a lot of more threat because of the seal of righteousness.
Yeah.
And it can regen your mana from your target if it has a judgment of wisdom, so it's not a problem. It all depends. It all depends what you're doing in the race, you know.
I have a hard time getting anyone to think about. I mean, the best I can do is like on Golmac example or any boss in that, I can usually get a spot thinking that, or obviously trash, but nobody ever trusts me to think an actual boss.
Which boss?
Any.
Well, honestly, people are so brainwashed today, as my friend said on the guild chat. That people are today so brainwashed that they don't even let you do anything. Even if you can, even if you want, they don't let you. Even if you are doing better than the other tanks, they won't still let you. That's how far the brainwashing today it is, thanks to all the streamers, forum posters and trolls and all those people who are majority voice against the hybrid, unfortunately. I don't say I don't say that none of those things they say is not true. It is at some point, not everywhere, but at some points it is true, but not everything they say.
I mean, ask you, how are you staggered now for thinking?
What spec I'm using now for tanking?
Yeah.
I'm using the threat spec on my YouTube channel, if you have seen it. I'm using on the Holy Divine Strength, Improved Seal of Righteousness.
Do you have 31 points in protection?
Yeah, I have 31 points, the standard one there, with Reduct, toughness, precision, anticipation, shield specialization, improved righteousness, fury, blessing of sanctuary, one-handed weapon specialization, holy shield. That's the standard. But on the holy and retribution, I have changed it because I want to have a strong single target threat spec. Because I'm already skilled enough to control all my mana, and the AoE part is not an issue for me, so I decided to focus on a single target more. So I have Divine Strength on the Holy, Improved Seal of Righteousness, Consecration, and Improved Level Hand. Why do I need Improved Level Hand? That's all shit button, you know. It saves you. Healers cannot always predict you or use it on you, but you can use it exactly when you need it to survive, because you can predict the damage, you can feel the damage that it is coming, and reflex is there that you are using the things to survive in case you get struggled, especially now on the tier 1 raids. Most of the bosses on the tier 1 raid does not even do much melee damage. So parry is like useless nearly. I don't say it's completely useless, but it won't change a lot at all. Especially that you are not getting crushing blow immunity anyway.
I'm just curious, why do you take anticipation?
Anticipation for defense cap, to get the defense cap gear pre-raid before I get to the raids.
Well, yeah, but I mean, what about for fights where you actually want to be below defense cap for a readout or for readout Rex?
No, you don't need Reduct. Why? I mean, I had to use Reduct because of shield specialization. Okay, that's the main reason why I'm using Reduct. Otherwise, I will never use it. Why should I eat critical damage, which is 100% more damage, rather than crushing blow, which is not the monster everyone is preaching about? It is just 50% more damage compared to critical strike, which is twice more. I mean, how false is that theory has gone so far?
Yeah, well, hold up, Dookie. My reason is that if you do eat a crit, you also proc. Aside from reckoning, if you have it, you also get 30% more block from readout, and with a Holy Shield up, you have 60% block. So you could potentially push crushing blows and critical strikes off the table.
But why should I? Why should I do that? Like, there is no reason to do it. Crushing blow is not hitting that much. It's hitting a lot less than the critical strike. If I get crit, I hit more damage than the crushing blow.
Well, yeah, but you'll also become immune to critical strikes as well. For
no, okay, that's true. But if I'm defense cap, no point.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, you get more threat from blocking.
That's not the issue, as I said. It's not an issue at all for more threat. If you're skilled Protection Paladin, threat is not an issue if you know how to play it. That should be the last thing you care about.
How long?
Let me tell you where and when Reduct is efficient and good. Fire resistance bosses that you require, like arcane fire resistance, shadow resistance bosses that require you resistance gear. Only then Reduct is good, because they will crit you eventually. And as I said, those bosses are not doing a lot of damage at all, so they are going to crit you, and the damage is very weak. You won't even feel it there, the physical damage. Their main damage and their main sources of huge amount of damage is spells and abilities, and for that you have resistance gear. The physical damage is not that great in there, and in that case Reduct helps a lot, especially with your shield specialization, and your shield makes you block a lot of damage. Yeah, there it is useful. But if you are using defense cap gear, it's completely useless, the Reduct. And you should never ever eat critical strike in order to prevent crushing blow. Out of 4 swings that the boss is going to do, the maximum amount of crushing blows you can get is 2. The maximum amount, because it is limited, and 2 crushing blows is equal to 1 critical strike eaten. And if you eat each time critical strike, you spike with your health immediately, and that's disaster for the healers. So I rather have two semi hits on me rather than one critical hit on me, like from the critical strike. And anyway, each 4 swings you are using Holy Shield again. So, and you have to reduct again. So that's the whole philosophy about this. You should never ever care about it.
Alright, now what if you're using a threat set, like for, no, never mind.
For threat, as I said, until Holy Shield runs out, if the damage income from the, if you are on a defense cap gear, that means those bosses who are hitting you should be hitting hard and maybe fast even. So you have your Holy Shield wasted anyway until the end, or almost wasted, regardless. So you don't have to sit and eat critical strike in order to get the threat. And you do what? Maybe 130 threat more, okay, or 160 threat more, depend. You don't really care about it.
Alright, now I'm just getting now, you said you also take improved Holy Shield, or not Holy Shield, improved Leonians, to use on yourself. You do that because, like, to save your heals from having to blow Leonians on you, or do you do that just to have more control over your incoming damage, or do you do it for the proc, the armor proc?
You mean what armor proc?
When you have to improve on Indians, when you use it on someone to get a 20% bonus to their armor for 2 minutes, that proc.
Well, armor depends how much armor, but you're talking about tier 2.
Well, I'm not talking about an A tier set specifically. I'm just talking about why do you feel the need to use it on yourself to get to improve Leonians?
There is problem sometimes when you speak. I can't understand everything. Like,
alright, how's this?
Try to speak slowly a little.
How is this?
Okay.
Well, what I was asking was, why do you feel the need to get improving Leonians for yourself?
Improving anything? Like what?
Improved Leonians.
Oh, Leon Hands, sorry. Leon Hands, sorry. I couldn't understood that. Well, as I said, improved Lion Hand I'm using because there are sometimes situations where the healers cannot predict it. You as a tank can predict those stuffs much easier, much more efficient than the healers. And the same as the warriors shield walls and last stands they are using according to when they feel like they are threatened. The same thing you're using for improved Lion Hand. And why improved Lion Hand is good? It's good because it gives you 30% more armor for the next 2 minutes, which means for the next 2 minutes you are receiving so much lesser damage. 30% armor is huge amount.
You're saying that you're raiding with in a 1331 7 spec with 2
Yeah.
points in improved judgment.
Yeah, I'm on the retribution. I'm using 5 talent on benedictions to reduce the mana cost of my shields, and I'm using improved judgment 2 of 2 to judge more often.
Alright, cool.
Which means more judgment of righteousness and more threats.
Yeah.
Does it sound okay for you?
Yeah, I was just curious as to what your spec was again, just to make sure I had it done properly.
You was curious about the 7 talents, yeah? Or
About your the way you would spend talents, yeah. Hey Dookie, I'm gonna have to let you go for right now because I just got a warning on my phone, it's low on battery, so mind if I call you back later on?
okay. When you're coming back?
Not sure, I have to let my phone charge for a while. It's on low battery right now.
Alright, mate. Talk with me when you are back so we can continue talking. Maybe I will be doing Black Rock Depth soon, so with my friends. So I'm not so sure, but tomorrow if you are online at this time we can talk.
I'll send you a text through Discord before I send the call, alright?
Okay, mate. Alright, mate.
Alright, take care, man.
Take care, mate.
Alright, bye.